Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Buenos días.
How are you? ¿Hablas español ya o todavía?
Estoy aprendiendo español.
Hey, hey.
Muchas. Not a lot, but I'm trying.
Nice. Good morning, Andriana.
Good morning.
Nice. So, Leon, this is Andriana. She's been helping me with the podcast, and Andriana, this is Leon. He's a YouTuber and a lifestyle artist.
Have fun. Can't wait to hear more about it.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, Andriana has a digital agency in Miami.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Only been to Miami a handful of times, very short times, but I love it there. It's like Las Vegas on water.
So, are you in Las Vegas?
No. I'm currently in Bogota, Colombia at the moment.
That's where my husband is from.
Oh, really? Specifically Bogota or just Colombia?
Yeah. No, Bogota, Colombia.
Bogota. Nice.
Nice. So we'll probably have like a couple more people join us as the call goes on, but let's just go ahead and get started. So welcome back to the podcast. Today we have a truly inspiring guest joining us. He's a lifestyle artist, world traveling YouTuber, a former professional gamer, and so from dominating virtual worlds to exploring the real one, he's living proof that pursuing your personal legend is not just possible but incredibly rewarding. Get ready to dive into this journey, the insights, the wisdom we gathered along the way. And I want to start with a quote from The Alchemist to set the tone for the conversation. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to weave our conversation with timeless wisdom from The Alchemist. This little book right here, have you read it?
I have not. I'm not well versed
in
the knowledge of books at the moment.
All right, yeah, I got you. So this book is great. It's actually, and I'll just start with this. So it's what you have always wanted to accomplish. Everyone, when they are young, knows what their personal legend is. And at that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything is possible. They are not afraid to dream and to yearn for everything they would like to see happen to them in their lives. But as time passes, a mysterious force begins to convince them that it will be impossible for them to realize their personal legend. And this brings me to you, like, because I feel like you're somebody that's right now, you're having a lot of momentum, and I feel like if we were to align it with the concepts in The Alchemist, it's the personal legend is like your purpose, like you choosing a purpose and having momentum on it. So I don't know, you haven't read the book, but have you heard about it at all?
I mean, I've heard of the title of it, so it is famous to me.
Nice. Okay. So here's an opening quote. So at that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything possible. They're not afraid to dream and yearn at everything they would like to see happen in their lives. So question number 1. And when you want something, all the universe... Okay. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Can you share a moment when you decided to shift from gaming to full-time travel? And what was that turning point like for you?
I think it was, for me, I left with kind of a sour taste in my life. I was getting older. You know, video games is definitely seen as kind of a younger category. In my world at the time, when you're in competitive games, your lifespan is around like 18, maybe even a little bit younger, actually. You've heard some of these kids be like 16, winning millions of dollars. So like maybe like 16 to 25, you're kind of at your peak. There's a couple X factors or variables or that are like maybe my age that are still continuing, but it's a very small portion of that community. For me, I was growing older. I kind of, I was refocusing on what I really wanted to do and things that were like kind of making me happy at the time. Not a lot of people know what really makes them happy, and it takes a long time to figure that out, right? So there's just little things that kind of crept into my life. The people around me were kind of caving in, and I was too. But essentially, when I found that passion to just kind of, this was always been part of my life. I've been traveling for video game competitions all my life, all over Europe. Asia, South America, and whatnot. And I was like, man, there's more out there than just my home, than the U.S. And everyone has like they're all kind of like main characters of their own story. And I was like, wow, I haven't really lived my story yet, and I wanted to go out, explore the world, see what it is for what it truly is, and you know, that brought me to passion. And for me, I liked chasing girls. I liked exploring cities. I liked going on adventures, and I wanted to do that. And yeah, I couldn't do that from like the comfort of my mom's basement when I was like playing video games. So it was kind of like a coming of age for me to come do this like full time.
Yeah, that's every kid's dream. Like, you know, girls and video games. I mean, like, you wouldn't understand, Andriana. You wouldn't. You would not understand.
I come from a very non-traditional like life because of it. You know, you probably heard a lot of people come through and say, "Hey, like I did sports and I did all this. I quit my 9 to 5 job." Mine was a little similar, but it was like, man, I'm stuck in this like subcategory of the world, and I wanted to break out of the bubble. Honestly, I looked myself in the mirror one day and said, man, I'm tired of being like this small nerdy, like and to a degree I'm still that, but like I was tired. I should show you guys the photos, but I was tired of being like a really scrawny small Asian nerdy kid that was just not happy with my life at the time. So I wanted to transform and break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly.
Wow, we have another Asian on the line. I don't know if she's gonna speak or if she's just gonna listen, but we'll find out in a little bit. Andriana, did you have a question?
No question. I'm just listening to boys, you know.
Both Andriana.
Saying that that's the boys' fantasy, playing games and women.
So both Andriana and Xuyen, their moms. Do you guys have boys?
Yes. Girls, thank goodness.
Oh, you have.
I think God said, I don't think she can handle boys, so we're just gonna give her girls.
But Xuyen, you have boys. So how old are your boys?
Yes, 17, and he was into video games, and then he sold his computer like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, what you gonna do now? And now he's like, I want to create music. I'm okay, let's do it. So yeah, it's hard having boys.
Wow. So I'm really interested because like you were saying, so Andriana, so Leon made a video and it inspired me because it said I ask 100 girls to go out on a date with me in every country he goes to. He does this on camera, and some girls say yes, most girls say no, and the way he takes it, it's inspiring. It's like, whoa, and it's like he just laughs about it and moves on. Like it's really cool. I think this is a really crucial thing for most guys, and I think this is your mission, Leon. You want to inspire men to go out there and actually ask girls out. Can you tell us a little bit about that, where that came from?
Yeah, so going back on a little bit of the story of being like that nerdy Asian kid, I was never exposed to as many as people when I started traveling. I was exposed to a lot of people during video game competitions, but that was mainly, you're locked in, you're zoned into like high level of play, right? And then when I started traveling, I said, well, something I've always had issues with was just communication with women, and I just kind of breaking out of that shell. And I know that a lot of men are like in that space, or the generalization of men just in the West, or maybe even the world, they don't really, they look for the right time, or they make excuses of not taking action on something that they would want. And at the time, I really wanted to do the YouTube stuff. Not only because it's definitely something that I'm trying to do and trying to grow, but I also wanted to document all the things I was doing to maybe even show my kids one day as kind of like a self-documentary. And one of that was, okay, well, I have to be good at talking or approaching women some form of way if I'm ever going to find a wife or a girlfriend, or multiple, however you want to believe in that. But essentially, I said, I'm gonna do this thing, but I'm gonna do it the right way. I don't want anyone to. I want to approach like essentially in a non-threatening way. I wanted to teach men to accept rejection, like part of the process of like feeling the anxiety and the uncomfortableness is normal, and we can essentially, you don't know what's out there, and if you just go and ask and be the pursuer of like what your role is, then you're not gonna feel hurt about it because maybe you find a diamond in the rough somewhere. But I said, while I'm traveling, something that I can do to force me to go outside and find not just women, but like explore the city, explore the life, explore the culture, learn essentially where other pockets of people, what they're dealing with and what they're living through, just by talking to the locals. And I kind of created that challenge for me through, I'll just go walk up to girls and ask them out on a date, maybe ask them about what the city is like. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get over that like fear of rejection, overcome that obstacle, and maybe find that diamond in the rough.
How old are you?
I'm currently 31 years old.
31.
Nice. I'm 36. That.
It's the Asian genes. He doesn't look.
Yes.
It's the Asian genes. Ben, I need some of those.
I think it's everyone always asks me about that, and I'm like, well, a little bit about my lifestyle. Like I kind of always have like this thought of the future and what kind of role model I wanted to be for like my offspring one day, or just people around me, or even the content that I put out. I've never smoked, I never drank alcohol, never done drugs, so I've lived an extremely clean life, and I think that's like added to it. I talked to my dad like a couple years ago for the first time, and I see him, he's like completely bald, and I have like a full head of hair, and I'm like, wow, Dad, when do I lose my hair? And he was like something like 40 something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of creeping up on that a little bit, so I'm a little scared that I might lose the hair because
Yeah.
girls like hair, right? So.
Yeah, I started thinning like around I think around 31 or something, and then I just cut it short, but up here it's thinning, and it's scary, man, cause like my identity revolved around my hair. Like I had nice hair like you, and yeah, it could be scary, but I've drank and done drugs, so I think.
I don't know if that's a big part of it, but everyone tells me it is. I don't know about the science about it. But.
Yeah. No, well, definitely the lifestyle. I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, if you're clean, and then you take good care of yourself, and do you have like a skin routine, like skincare routine?
Believe it or not, so I have one of my girlfriends in the other room, and she always makes fun of me because I actually don't do like anything, to be honest. And at most, on like a really hot day, I'll do like the sunscreen, because I got traumatized when I was younger. I saw this one video of like this woman that was like, yeah, I put sunscreen on every day, and I'm like 6 years old, and she looks like 20. I was like, what? So maybe that's like the secret to it. I'm not sure. I try not to put like too much effort. I think like the whole, like even with like girls I talk to, it's like this like endless cycle of putting on makeup and then cleaning it off, and then it creates all the endless cycle or circle of like washing your face, putting stuff on it, and then I literally don't do anything. I wash it in the bath, like in the shower at most, but I don't put anything like crazy on it.
Yeah, that a scrub, exfoliating scrub.
Yeah, I mean, I do get you look very young, but yeah, I think it possibly is the Asian genes. I'm not sure.
Yeah, most likely. Um,
Most likely, yeah.
yeah, so I'm Puerto Rican, and Andriana and Xuyen, they're both Dominican.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes. So and we actually I know them from Tony Robbins. Like I go to like the seminars, and then I've known them from the crew. So like we volunteered at the thing. So um, man, but something you said there, the discomfort, the uncomfortableness. That's something like when even when you said it right there, I actually felt something right here and like in my stomach, and that's something that we could interpret as something that would could be painful or wrong or bad, or I don't know what emotion it is. Shame, maybe like a high dose of shame that you associate with the actual physical sensation that happens. How do you feel that, or how did you feel that? Are you over that? Are you is it numb? Or is it like did you turn it into did you reframe it into a positive whenever you're doing what you do?
Yeah, yeah. So for anyone that's like watching in the future or whatnot, what we're talking about is kind of like the cold approaching women and pursuing that. It's part of a man's journey to do it. A generalization of women, like they're not going to be usually the pursuers. Men are. That's just kind of our gender dynamic and roles for it. I really do believe in that because that kind of makes the world go round in our society. But as for like the framing and whatnot, I think most people or most men that ever do cold approach or never do cold approach is always the fear of failure. We as people, men or women, are just they're fear of failure. We try to stay away from it because we stick to what's comfortable. We wanna win. We want to keep doing that. But truthfully, when you're doing cold approach, failure and rejection is part of being successful later down the road. I kind of have an analogy for it. When you're doing a cold approach as a guy, it's part of life. It's and if you're doing it a lot, it's kind of like the gym. Every day you have to put your reps in. For me, like I if you don't do cold approach, like I have not completely eliminated the idea of the social anxiety of it or whatnot, and I don't believe even like dudes that approach women like 100 times a day has eliminated it either, because if you don't do it enough, it slowly starts to creep back on you. So I always encourage people to treat it like the gym. If you see somebody, even if it's not a woman, it's just a stranger, like conquering the social anxiety. You ever watch those like TikTok videos of like the guys that have camera on their glasses and they practice and they just walk up to people and say, "Oh, your shirt looks nice," or like they try to put like some positive like aura in the world. Well, it doesn't even have to be cold approach, but just being able to talk to strangers and kind of open up that dialogue. It's a skill that needs to be flexed every day, I think, to be like healthy.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, but for me with the cold approach, it's a conquering feeling because you never know what you're gonna get. It's kind of like opening up a mystery box yourself. Um, there was a time where, like, look at me. I don't think I'm nowhere close to being a 10 out of 10 in terms of attractive looks. But for some reason, I found the urge to do my cold approach in Panama City, and I got to like go on a date with like the runner-up for Miss Panama. And I would have never thought that in my entire life. And some of these girls are so beautiful. Sometimes they wouldn't be approached by guys because they just don't want to. They just never run into that. Or obviously there's girls out there that have been approached like a lot of times just being in a high dense, like high populated place. But you just never know what you're going to get if you're going to like out the experiment of doing this. And for the other ladies that are in the call that haven't watched my content, I go around every country in the world and ask out 100 women on a date on camera, excluding the ones that I don't ask on a date off camera. And what I've learned is that, it's like a wide range of like women that I would have never thought. There are some women that I just didn't even find attractive that absolutely shut me down and would never have given me a chance. I'm just not their type. And then there's some absolutely beautiful women, thumbnail level YouTube or thumbnail level women that are like models that were like, yeah, sure, let's go now. And I'm like, wait, right now? It was kind of like, I would have never thought that. It truly is a mystery box. You never know what you're gonna get. And especially in today's like dating world, a lot of people are kind of has limited their viewpoint to just only dating apps like Tinder or the Bumbles. And now, like before, we're talking about, I think before, the early 2000s, like cold approach, that's what everyone is doing. Now it's only dating apps. And now the unique way used to be the dating apps. Now the unique way is going back. It like went back into full like rotation. The unique way is like making the face-to-face contact and actually like approaching like the other gender.
Wow.
As it should be. As it should be. I find that men now, they don't dare to even ask. Like, they are so afraid. I don't know if they think that they don't have anything to bring on the table, and that's holding them back. The one who's there to talk is the one who's gonna win, compared to others men that they don't dare. They are just scared of this perception of this woman, whatever.
So let me ask you, Leon, how you kind of got started in the journey, and what was your thought before you got there, right? Because there are people who are more prone to rejection, and there are people who are able to just shut it off. So I'd like to know where you were before you started in this journey. What kind of got you to move forward with it?
Well, for me, like when I was younger, I mean, I was always considered like kind of a little womanizer, I guess. I was always like approaching girls and not approaching, but always like sliding to DM, trying to like do this because I, as a normal man, love women, but in the dating life, I kind of like never knew how like the framework really was. I didn't have a dad. I kind of was like just teaching myself from like media and whatnot, like how I was supposed to operate. So I never had like a guide or like a teacher or anything. Like the guys that I would watch like in the movies were like my teachers, and it would be like Van Wilder, like Ryan Reynolds. So that's how my viewpoint was without a dad or like a leader in my life to teach me. So that was kind of like the wrong way, to be honest. Like every like little kid that ever watched Van Wilder was like, oh, I want to be like that. But that was never like the reality of what the world really was, especially like it being a dream.
Like trying to be clever, like overly clever and shit like that.
Well, yeah, obviously it's an exaggeration of what like every man would want to be and what that fantasy would be. You can operate like that, but there's no like long-term retention for it, right? I always say that there's like there's 4 games to dating. So one is like getting her to know that you exist, right? 2 is getting her to go on a date. 3 is making her your girlfriend, and 4 is retaining her, right? So those are the 4 games of dating. And usually, like if you talk to people like me or like dating coaches out there, there's a lot of dating coaches. Obviously, they range from beginner all the way to advanced, like any other field, right? A lot of the coaches will be really good at the first like 3 games, or anyone that's like above like an average level. And you might get lucky as a man in general to even get a girlfriend and be able to like marry her one day, right? That's like the goal, especially if you're shooting like 1,000 shots a year. But you're not going to get that if you don't shoot any shot. But one of the things, like the 4th one, is something that everybody kind of, even women kind of fail on, is like mastering like retention, and that's where like the happy marriages, happy like relationships like lie in. But yeah, like for me to do this and kind of like evolve, it was just the want of like a better future for myself, but not only for myself. Like I just want to help people around me as well. Like I just wanted to put it out there. If somebody watches it or does it, hopefully it encourages them. I hated reading like statistics for myself. I'm a very logical guy. I read dating app statistics. Like for me, I'm on the lowest demographic. Out of all the gender, or I'm sorry, the like ethnic demographics, Asian men are on the lowest, or the most unattractive of the demographics on dating apps. We're
Wow.
on par with black women. So like I knew that I was coming in
Yeah.
at like on a statistics level that I would be at a disadvantage in terms of like the world. So I was just like, well, how do I break out of that? How do I conquer that? How do I beat that? Well, I just have to upgrade in like a lot of the different categories, how I dress, how I talk, how my appearance, you know. Believe it or not, like in the dating world or in my world or, you know, everyone's partial world, we do judge books by their cover in the dating world. It doesn't matter how as I wish that it wasn't like that, it is true. So you have to kind of like polish the book cover a bit to be able to like get to the next page.
Yeah, initially, I think that's a great point. Okay, so here's a frame. I love your framework. Awareness, date. What was the third one?
Are you talking about the 4 rules of dating?
Yeah.
So the first one is getting her to know you exist. Going on a date, getting her to go on a date. Third is making her your girlfriend, and fourth is retaining her.
Right. So retention. What I see here is a couple of things. Number one, this is a good framework that could be used for any type of relationship. You could use it for a friend, for a mentor, for a client. You know, so for sales, I think this would be very useful. Something, you know, it's just a little tweaking. And then to your point, to the warming up, when you were talking about like the actual, if you don't use it, you lose it. Like I think I was telling you the other day on the phone, like I stopped playing chess for like, you know, a few months, and then my rating went down like two or 300, just because it's not sharp enough. And same thing with games, same thing with sales, same thing with all that stuff. David Wygant used to say something called verbal batting practice, where you go out and then you just talk to everybody in the town, no matter like if they're good looking or not. You just go out and then you just say hi to everybody and become the mayor in your town. Go to the supermarket, talk to the people behind the deli, and then just become that guy. You know, like it's just talking, just talkative, and it's great. So from that point, I think it's good because Andriana's got a business, Xuyen's got a business, I got a business, and I'm in sales. So if we were to put this into like a context of, okay, now we're connecting with people because that's the whole point, right? It could be a girl because that's the goal, or it could be a client, or it could be a mentor that we're trying to reach out to, or a friend that we're trying to, you know, meet. This framework could align with any of those things. What have you used this in another context? For example, I know you got a business as well. So have you like been able to like extrapolate this into another aspect of your life?
Yeah, I mean, we have different analogies of how we treat our own businesses for sure. Because I come from a competitive like gaming background, and in the private conversation that we've had before the call and whatnot, I've always used the analogies of like my competitive games. I used everything what I learned from like competition, and I just applied it from a handful of my business at the current given time. Obviously, I have some stuff that is able to sustain my current lifestyle, but it's the same applications, right? In the business world, like I'm just a very competitive guy. I kind of just like think on all 5, especially like in the dating world. I'm just like, oh wow, there is like a top 500 of like this thing. Well, there has to be I look for the top 500 on like the other side of it. I'm not knowledgeable in your other businesses or what you have, but I'm sure that there is some form of leaderboard, and kind of to start out, you're not like reinventing the wheel. You kind of just copy them and then make it better, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, great. No, because it was short, but I got it at the end, where the idea is basically, yeah, find out. It's what Tony Robbins teaches, is modeling. So you're basically like finding out who the top people are in your field, and then modeling what they did. Like modeling what do they do? How did they get to be the top people in their field? And then you just basically, okay, break it down into the activities that they do and then just copying that.
Yeah, I did a lot of that in the dating field as well. I literally watched all the dating YouTubers, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go do that, and then I added my own like spin to it.
Well, and that's a very simple and logical thing to do, but sometimes people like me, we try to reinvent the wheel, and we try to like get creative in a lot of stuff. Have you done that? Have you like verged outside of the logical side where you know what works, and then gone to a creative side to see if something might work, and then experience like mixed results there?
Are you talking about for me? Are you asking me about like the dating world or like just business in general?
Either example, whatever example comes to mind.
Well, just because we're on the topic of it, I'll kind of like just stick to like the dating world because
Sure.
it looks like the ladies are a little bit interested in it and in that life. So especially what I go through. So we'll stick to that one.
Okay.
For the dating world, like a lot of the YouTubers and a lot of the people that I've kind of run into the last several years about it and kind of like how to maximize and like conquering like those 4 games. No, I did copy a lot of it because you can't really innovate in terms of like what people do, right? Walking up to a girl, walking up to a woman and asking her on a date or pursuing her has been almost the same for the beginning of time, excluding any of the barbaric stuff during caveman times. But essentially, like technology has made it a way where you can innovate and make fun or different things to like be better in any of the 4 categories that I've talked about before. So one of the stories that I like to tell, there was a friend of mine in Asia. One of the things that he did to do the making her know that you exist, essentially the game of making her know that you exist is like doing things and just putting like everyone, how I kind of view the world, maybe not everyone views this like this way, but I view the world as everyone kind of is stuck in their own video game, in their own world, and then until they interact with a stranger, they do not become a part of their world. They are just background NPCs. Everyone's a background NPC until you engage with them. In your mind, all they do is the same thing. If you ever played a video game, if you ever played like the Dungeons and Dragons type game or World of Warcraft, you have the NPCs in the background, the shopkeepers that say the same thing. Hi, how are you? What can I get you? And it's the same thing. Until you engage with them, they do not become player characters in your world. They're not main or supporting cast members in your own movie that you're creating in your world.
Hold on. Do you guys know what NPC means, just for context?
I'm playing cards.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Perfect.
So essentially, if I put it in movie terms, they're like the background actors. But when the main actor engages with them, they become supporting characters in your world. So that's the issue in like getting her to know you exist in the dating market as a man. You're just an NPC in somebody else's world. They're and vice versa, right? So you need to break through that wall, that barrier, and make them know that you exist. So how do you do that effectively? So going back to my story about the guy that I know in Asia, one of the things that's very funny, it sounds really stupid. He paid for a billboard that says, I am single, here's my email, my number, my social media. If you want a short Asian boyfriend, this is my picture, this is what I look like, contact me. And he also put on a shirt with all his information, looking for a girlfriend, white t-shirt, black text or black and red text, walked around the entire city, didn't matter, because he was throwing out the biggest net that he thought he could possibly. And it didn't matter because like everyone else thought it was stupid, but his phone was blowing up. What, like, sure, there's gonna be like the minority of like troll calls or troll texts or whatever, but he did eventually find somebody, right? He took action on it, and you can do a lot of creative things. Like that is not a normal thing. That is a very innovative way to do it. There's a lot of different people that will do innovative things in those sort of games. Like one time when before I started doing this, I would have like an auto swiper on Tinder and Bumble. So I'd have several computers. Like I have several. I think I have like 3 or 4 monitors in my mom's basement. I wanted to just attract a girl. I made as many accounts on all the dating websites as possible, like Plenty of Fish, Bumble, Tinder. I wanted to see what was out there in my area. And I literally had auto clickers. I had extension auto clickers on each tab going and swiping right on every girl that I met. I didn't care if they were unattractive or not. I just wanted to see where I was at in the levels of like 1 to 10. So there are some guys that do that. There are some guys that do it on like an extreme scale.
Yes.
There are ways to like hack the system. There are ways to beat the game, is what I'm essentially saying.
Don't give Joe's any more ideas.
No, I did something similar to this.
Like digging and Joe's like, I'm loving all this. I'm going to implement all this stuff right after this podcast.
Well, so here's the thing. The game, like, with technology, like, always, it always updates. So that method doesn't work anymore.
Right.
That used to. Now, when you're on dating apps, so there's like an ELO system. So if you swipe right more times than you're accepted, then you start to get worse matches. So that's what they've implemented. So one of the things that
yeah, I actually
how like the game kind of like innovated. Like I'm strictly talking about dating apps.
Yeah.
One of the things that when I started to learn this, one of the ways that I got around it was the bait and switch. So what I would do was I would take a really attractive guy, someone that was deemed a 10 out of 10 in a woman's eyes, make a profile for him, swipe right on everybody. Everyone would swipe right on him, and then I would just change the photo. Yeah, exactly. And then I have all these hot matches. Then I'm just me, and I'm like, oh, you just like met with me, and then they are already in the DMs. So it's kind of like I call it the bait and switch. But like essentially like because we're already in the DMs, there's a social pressure to talk to me already. This is something I've learned like in my early 20s. So it was like,
what's the plan once you do find Mrs. Right? I'm curious.
You're asking me if I find Mrs. Right?
What are you gonna do once you find Mrs. Right?
What am I gonna do? Well, hopefully start a family. I mean, that's what everybody would want, right? To continue the offspring, continue the legacy. So that's the dream.
How would you will keep her if you find her? What do you will do to keep her?
Keep her? Well, here's the thing. This is something that's a little bit controversial. I mean, I don't agree with like black pill community. I don't know if you understand like kind of like the dating space and like the different like memes and different niches in those communities. So there's like the black pill community, which is like kind of like this like really nihilistic idea of dating. So if you're like not like a 6-foot guy, there's just like no chance for you. That's what they believe in. The red and I'm going to like red pill community. Red pill community is like, okay, well, the reality is, you are disqualified because of certain things because you don't have these things. But it encourages you to like find or follow like the 5 pillars of like dating, which is being a high value man, which I do agree with. I don't necessarily agree with all the harshness of any of the communities. Because I've experienced like thousands and thousands of different like small pockets of experiences in the dating world. I do believe that it is gray to an extent. Obviously, there are some black and whites, but retention comes from being a high value man. That they can't like when a woman can't has reached its peak, and they know that they can't reach their peak, right? So high value man. Money, game, and frame is always the biggest ones. That's the reality that like we don't live in like a Disney fairy tale where we can like just live poor and be able to retain a happy life, whether that be single or with a woman. That's great if you have a great woman that will be with you if you're in Alaska eating whale blubber, but that can only last for so long. And something that I definitely know for a fact is black and white is there is no such thing as unconditional love except from your mom. So in a relationship, if a guy is able to, if a guy is ever to retain a woman long term, they have to understand that there is always a fire under you. So using that fire to kind of like push forward and keep leveling up every day, that's the only way you're going to be able to retain it. Because the more you retain your value and upgrade your value as a man, even if she leaves, there's always going to be a better one that will come by, because you just, like, you're compounding and continuously upgrading your value. So how I look at it is like, okay, cool, I'm the best option that you have, essentially. And I'm going to continue growing my value until the point where, you know, if you do leave, then you're going to regret it anyways. That's fine. High value men don't really care if if a girl like leaves them, because they can just replace them anyways. That's not a lot of guys are able to do that.
And with women, yeah.
Same with women, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It works the opposite way. I do believe in the idea of hypergamy, and it's the exact thing, and you're kind of just like trying to go neck and neck with each other. To the question of retention is like, you're just gonna have to like beat the video game boss of hypergamy with your woman, being the best option available to her and able to retain her. And that is the cold, hard truth.
So you would say that in the time that you have been doing this and getting to ask all these women, you haven't found the one yet?
I keep my options open. Like so if you ever do your research and like finding a dating coach, like, I think it's very absurd that if you ever hire a dating coach, whether it be man or woman, I think it's very absurd if they do not have a partner. That just means that they've only conquered like the first three games.
What they teach.
Yeah, so like, you know, the power of authority is like, okay, their qualifications, have they done it? Well, I always have at least one girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
The longest relationship that you have had?
I think 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
In my entire life, but that's not because, like, that was during a time period when I was younger, and I wouldn't even consider myself even close to being high value. I wasn't able to truly.
So what do you mean that you always have at least one girlfriend? So it means that you date multiple people at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. I keep that option open. The only difference between me and a normal guy is that I'm honest about it. I tell it straight. I tell it honest.
The girl also date other people as well, or is it just one-sided?
No, it's one-sided. It's absolutely one way. It's a one-way street for man. I make it very clear.
What do you understand about commitment with a person? What is your
commitment? I'm sorry, say again?
What do you think about commitment with a person? What do you think about it? Like, what is the meaning for you about commitment to a person?
What does it mean about commitment?
Yeah.
I mean, like, commitment is just loyalty, right? Like, to give them the exclusivity in the relationship, right? But here's the thing. I learned over the years, in the like 10 plus years of just going around the world and dating women and meeting other men and creating a brotherhood. The truth is, like, men and women are just absolutely different. We're just yin and yang, part of like the cycle of life, and we operate differently. We're granted different privileges in life. You're able to get into a club for free. You know, you come into the world with value, right? Men do not come into the world with value. We create our own value, and that's why it works the opposite, right? That's why my belief, and it's as from the beginning of time for any dynasties where a man has multiple wives or multiple girlfriends, that's why every man that you've ever probably encountered in your life, their dream or part of that dream is, they just don't tell you because they're probably not in the high value category, is that they will not tell you that they want to be with another woman. The difference between me and that guy is that I am just honest about it. I will tell you, hey, if you ever get into a relationship with me, I'm going to fulfill those traditional values and provide you with, you know, a happy life. It's the fact that I will be with another girl as well. But here's the thing, if I'm doing that providing factor where you are not doing that for me because of the yin and yang dynamic, then I want you to be exclusive to me and not with anyone else, right? It doesn't work the opposite way. Just you can like the other part of it as well. Like, it doesn't work the opposite way based off of just like biology in itself because of birth giving, of like knowing who the parents are, right? And also it just hasn't there's never been a queen in history that has like
to the girl.
They get everything they want.
It sounds to me like you are teaching men how to be players.
You have to be. And able to conquer the game, you absolutely have to be, and that's what's attractive to like the generalization of
very interesting.
If life is a game, you have to be a player.
Joe, We can't hear you, Joe. That's not necessarily true. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
What is your metaphor? What is your metaphor of the world? Life is a game. If life is a game, then you have to play it. If you play it, you're a player by
Yes,
definition.
life is a game, but it doesn't mean like it doesn't mean that you go out there and you think only about your needs. And so, based on what you're describing, it sounds like I just don't see the benefit from your partner perspective because you get all your needs met. What about the girl?
No, because he thinks the needs of the girl is that he will provide for her and protect her.
Yeah,
that's
woman
the man, and reality,
so
in reality, that's the man thing. And we, the women, we take care of that, and we are the alchemists of what he provides to us.
Yes,
but in a relationship, you want loyalty.
Yeah, the fact that so a woman, according to Tony, a woman needs safety. So a man needs to provide safety. And if you are dating multiple people, the safety goes out of the window, right? So,
but emotional safety.
Emotional
because
safety.
Some women want exclusivity and feel special, right?
Oh,
and
here's the thing.
Well, he gives them that option. That makes sense. He gives them the option. He's not. What makes him different to other men is that he's upfront about it. Unlike some of the people who perhaps don't give you the option and pretend that they're going to give you the exclusivity and then don't.
Well, like I'm gonna
admirable.
Let me interject there. So you remember how I told you that we men and women are just absolutely different, right? Like, men are like in general physically more capable than women. That's just facts, right?
That's true. Yeah.
That's just facts. So like, here's the thing. This is facts. Our loyalty is absolutely 100% different from yours in terms of like yin and yang. And one of the analogies that I grew up watching or like listening to, like I treat it as like as a man, right? I go to the grocery store and I'm gonna buy fruit, right? An apple is my favorite fruit of all time. I'm gonna buy an apple every day. That's my favorite apple. Some days I'm gonna buy an orange. Some days I'm gonna buy grapes. Some days I'm gonna buy strawberries. But you know what? At the end, and I'm gonna have as much money as the world to buy as many fruits as possible in the store. But there comes a day when I don't have a lot of money, and I come back to that store, and all I have is enough money for one. I'm gonna go back to that apple. That's men's loyalty compared to women's loyalty. We're absolutely two different types of beasts.
So what you're saying is that a man's loyalty is known when he has options and he can pick from them. So if a man having enough money, which is what you're referring to, pick you to be loyal to you is because he has chosen, because he has multiple choices and he has chosen you. A woman's, and yes, there is a saying, this is that a man's loyalty is known when the man has money, and a woman's loyalty is known when the man is broke.
Like, to a degree, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But for example, I've been married like 18 years, and the one thing that I always want to be for my man is to be his safe place to come back. And it's like that, I think, right? Like, I don't think that he's looking everywhere, but I'm agreed in that point, at some point with you. But in other hands, it's like, one question, what do you do when things get difficult? When your woman get difficult? Emotionally.
When things get difficult, I mean, like, that's like kind of like a broad question, but in a sense of like, hey, like, if I'm gonna be that traditional guy, I'm the El Capitan of the relationship, right? You expect me to be like in charge. So I'm gonna be able to make decisions for you and make your life easier. That's like our goal. That's our love to women. Like, we want to treat her like a queen and princess as long as she deserves it.
Yes.
She's gonna get everything. Like, that's our drive in life. That's why we make the infrastructure around you, create everything around you, because of our love for women and that we want to have sex with women. Like, that is the reason why we have gas in the fuel tank to do anything in this life, right? That's truthfully what it is. You walk outside,
and that's a truthful man. A man who can provide and take decision for her, because it's fucking hard for me, for example, like to take every decision that I have to make. No, I want somebody who to help me with that, So that's important. And most of the men don't think about it.
Yeah, and if I don't, you don't find me attractive. If I'm not the captain of the relationship, you just don't find me attractive. If you start to ever enter into those, like, we have key responsibilities, and if you ever like overlap in my key responsibilities in a relationship, you're just not going to find me attractive. I'm not doing my job.
I'm agree with you.
So that's part of like that fourth game of like retention. If I'm not doing my job and able to like be like the leader of our household, then I'm not going to be able to retain you.
I'm agree with you. Because in my marriage, for example, when my men start to complain and whine, I don't trust him anymore, Like if he can provide, if we can do something. So yes, I'm agree with you in that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's going to be, like, grace to it. Like, sometimes it'll happen, but it's up to you guys to, like, figure that out in terms of, like, negotiating. But, like, I'm a guy that just doesn't negotiate. I just lay it down to my lady. When I'm with them, I have, like, certain degrees of, like, responsibilities. I'm like, okay, I've experienced so much of it. I've have it down into systems. So, like, if you're going to be my girlfriend and, like, are going to get all these things from me, then you have to do this. I'm the captain. I'm gonna do this, right? And if I'm not able to hold you in, then you're just never gonna like find me attractive. In all honesty, like I do believe that this is a black and white when it comes to women. Like if they can't find a man that is their leader of the relationship, then they're not gonna be able to live a long and happy life. And when they and for the women that like retain those responsibilities, it's gonna be hard for them to also retain a man if they like hop into that lane, which I think we all know, just from life in general. If a woman goes down that path, they're truly not really happy.
Yeah, I'm agree with you.
Yeah, you're basically this is dating. This is dating basically because you're showing her, hey, like every girl that's fairly attractive knows I have choice. Even girls who aren't very attractive, they have choices. You're basically showing her, hey, look, I have choices too, in real time. And
yeah, exactly. And here's the thing, to go back to your question, Andriana, about like the loyalty and whether it be like two different ways, if she can be not exclusive and the other, can it be open polygamy or anything like that? Well, like go back to what I said about, me and Joe here come into the world with no value. Women come with value. By the time you are entering the dating market, you have options. We don't. It's yin and yang. That's just how it works. Because you have options, and if you have that loyalty, it means something. You can walk. You have the ability to walk outside, butt naked, spread your legs, and have anyone enter inside you. I cannot do that. I will go to jail. So that's the answer to your like loyalty.
That's
area.
true.
It's just like you have more value in a relationship when you grant the exclusivity. But here in reality, if a man doesn't have exclusive or it has options, you would find him attractive. Guys that you don't have, that you do not find attractive, don't have those options, and therefore they are loyal to you. Do you ever hear about those memes about like dudes that just simp over girls, right? It's because they don't have any other options. They will bend over backwards for you and do everything that they are your like you're like the queen bee and they're like your drones. Like they're like the drones that like fly around and they'll just bend over backwards. You tell them to do whatever but here's the thing, you don't find that attractive. You'll never find that attractive. You might use them for like the short amount of time or period that you're with them, which is fine, but like you're not gonna want to marry that person. You're not gonna want to have his kids. You would rather find like top Chad that is doing things right, that is charismatic, that I don't like to say money because you can still have utility. So when Red Pill says high value man in terms of like money, game status, I like to say utility because I think people can be rich in different ways, actually. So as long as they have their utility, they're in shape, they're better than looking like the average looking guy, you know, they're charismatic, they're a leader. Those are like types of things that you look for in a high value man. And truthfully, when you find that guy, he's going to have a lot of options, and he's going to he's going to act on all those options. The famous analogy that goes around in the red pill space is that you're born in the candy store, and we have to work like 30 years to get into that candy store. And then once we get into that candy store, and you tell us, oh, you can only have one piece of that candy in the candy store, when your entire life you had every flavor in that candy store, that's bullshit. I'm gonna be a high value guy. I'm gonna have my options. If you don't like it, you can be a part of my life. But I'm gonna act on all those options. I'm gonna have a lot of girlfriends. That's fine. If you want to be that special girlfriend or my special wife in my life, then you're gonna have to just act by my rules.
Okay, which are your rules?
My rules? So I only look for 3 things in a relationship, right? There's this really famous YouTuber that I really love. I'm not as knowledgeable or as intelligent as he is to systematically go down into the levels of the psychology of like the dating. But the only if you ever want to like take a look at his stuff, he has like charts that are like simplified down for like basic rules of attraction. I do recommend you two to like look it up. His name is Ho_math. It's really funny. But it's an eye opener to like the dating market and especially in the modern world. For me, 3 things. I only ask for leal, loyalty, modesty, and compliance. I don't say obedience, but I say compliance because like compliance.
Oh my God,
Absolutely.
we're going back to the
Compliance.
I mean
I'm
that's
only gonna say wow.
yeah. I mean if we go back to those rules, that's what built empires of today. You know, like there's a reason why the nuclear family was the strongest. Like it was the strongest period of like the country that we came from. You know, or I mean like that we're living in right now. Right? There's a reason why that empire has stood the test of time, and why empires of the past have like just sprout out of nowhere is because of the nuclear family.
So you're looking for a woman who's submissive, so that she wouldn't leave, because obviously, as we were talking before, a woman who would find you of value right now will consider you of value, while as you are on top of your game. God forbid you got sick, she has to jump ship and go somewhere else because you're not able to provide that value anymore. And she doesn't have your loyalty. So when this woman is no longer pretty and attractive, she's no longer in her 20s, no longer in her 30s, getting to their 50, where you don't have a partnership anymore. You were right. The women, as they get older, their values stabilize, and men, as they get older, their value increase in terms of what they are able to acquire or what they are able to make of themselves. But the value that you attributing to women, it's just on their physical appearance, not in their intellect, not in how they work on themselves, not what they can make on themselves. It's purely just on appearance. And that value decreases with age for women and men. Just because a woman regards safety, financial and emotional, and you're able to provide one but not the other. Because unless you are in an open relationship where the woman is either doesn't see herself as valuable without you, then that is one of the only way, or she seems to pull off being completely submissive or being in an open relationship, she would not find value in that type of relationship that you have to offer.
So let's break down what you said, right? Like the 3 parts to that, right? The first part is you're talking about like the security of the relationship, correct? Like she doesn't have security if you're going around sleeping with other women, correct?
It's not that she doesn't have the security from you. It's an internal thing. So a woman crave predictability. And the only way that you are going to be predictable is if your actions are congruent and they are predictable. I mean, I don't know what other way to say it. And if you are dating multiple people, your actions are going to tend to be unpredictable. And while it's some variety, it's awesome. Too much variety causes anxiety, causes turmoil.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, I mean that's why, like, here's the thing, like, that's like part of the game, and that's what makes it that will actually help in terms of like the retention, right? Like, if you have the fear of like losing your man in terms of anxiety, you understand that he's a valuable man to you, right?
If you have the fear of losing your man, you're just having it demoralizes the woman.
Well, but do you see how we have completely different perspectives from the dating field? Like,
of course,
men, we have that anxiety all the time. We could lose you at any time because you have so many options. And when
but the woman chose you, and why she chose you out of all of these options because you weren't the only choice. Once the woman chose you and said, "This is the one I'm gonna date," the thing you gotta do to keep her is to treat her right. Yes, and that doesn't mean that you bend to her wishes. I'm not saying that. But she chose you. She's loyal to you. But if the man decides that I'm just going to keep my options open because now I have them, then he's not choosing you. You're just alone.
Okay. Hold on. So I get what you're saying. So let's break this down into a framework, and maybe we can accommodate it into this framework. You remember the love framework that I told you about, Andriana? Baby love. Mm-hmm. Baby love is like when you want something, and if you don't get it, you cry. The second level is trading or whoring. It's like when I give you value and you give me value, back and forth. The third thing is unconditional. And then the fourth is spiritual. Now, when you're in a relationship, it's a constant negotiation. So you're saying, Andriana, you're saying I'm coming from a position of strength. The woman is in power, and then the man, I chose the man, so therefore he should be happy with that. We're saying no, like I come from a position of strength. I'm the man. Like that's polarity.
What I'm saying is, to go back to your exact analogy, is what you guys are describing sounds like either trading or baby love. This is what I want, this is how I want it, and I'm going to pry that I'm getting. Or it could be trading. What Leon is describing is I'm going to fulfill your need for safety. I'm going to be a man of value to you. I'm going to provide you with certain things that are necessary. Those things are necessary. But this one thing, which is loyalty, you're not going to get from me, but I'm going to get from you. So he's asking to be chosen because that is what he's asking for. But I'm not going to choose you. I'm going to have you and a whole bunch of other ones. So, but he's going to trade his value in order for her to give him loyalty. That's what he's trading. He considers himself a man of value, and he's trading that value for her loyalty. Whereas I'm coming from either unconditional or spiritual love, which is what I would ultimately want to get from a relationship, where spiritual is truly what we're seeking, because unconditional only applies to our parents, as Leon said. I think that's the.
What's the difference between spiritual and unconditional love? Tell me.
Great question. So unconditional love is what we get from our parents. I give you my love regardless of what you are. It doesn't necessarily mean I gotta be with you. So think as a mother to their kid. They provide with all of their necessities and whatnot. So in partnership, it could look as a mother-daughter relationship or mother-son relationship, even in marriages. But in a spiritual love is I'm going to give you what you need, even if it hurts me. Think of an analogy of the man who's trying to save the scorpion who's crossing the river. And it keeps stunning him. And rather than to let the scorpion drown, he said, well, that's your nature. My nature is to save you, and I'm not going to let you change my nature because you have your nature. So that's the spiritual love. And so I think marriage is about that spiritual love of not necessarily letting other people hurt us intentionally, but to give to that person what they need, even if it requires us to grow, even if it requires us to be more than what we would give ourselves.
Yeah, let's establish a difference though here because you're both married, right? Me and Leon, we're both single men. You know, he's still dating, I'm still dating here. So let's put that into perspective. Like we don't know what it's like to be married. I have no idea. So there, but Leon, I'll give it back to you. So based, we have that perspective now. So you got to understand, Andriana, we don't have any idea what it's like to be married. I haven't been there. Leon's,
I've been single.
I mean,
I know exactly what Leon says makes sense to an extent. I understand perfectly what he's referring to.
But the thing is that I will be loyal to that man if he really provides for me. You know,
those are key words.
That's what is called the submission thing. Because submission is not that I'm gonna lose my freedom or my autonomy. That's a confusion that we have now in society with women. It's not. If he provides for me, not just financially, economic, whatever, but he is really with me in every, let's say, if I have a dream and he's with me, I will be there with him. Like I will show that loyalty to him and that submission, because somehow when you love and this guy is providing for you, you're gonna do whatever with him, for him.
But the submission,
like that's something
to Xuyen is submission on both sides. It's not only in the woman's side. It's
but I bet
it's to the woman and the woman submits to the man.
That's why I say at the beginning that I want to be that safe space for him.
Right.
And that's the hardest part for us, for women, to create. But when the woman find that, he's not gonna look anywhere. He's not. When the man find that peace in his queen, it's not. He queen gonna be, everything to
but
him.
That thing doesn't come out of thin air. That thing, while you're pulling that safe space between the relationship, that is the best way to describe the spiritual love. That's what that is. And that thing is not created out of thin air. It's created between two people who were on this side of the balance. He was on this side and she was on this side. And it wasn't that they compromised as what we know as compromising, but rather they decided to evolve and to care for someone else more than themselves. And so they move a little closer. And the love bridges the gap, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what Adriana's saying. Like it gets when a women hear, I have to be submissive to this man. I don't think it's wrong.
yeah. Hold on, guys. Let me hear. So, Leon, what were you gonna say?
Well, there's a couple levels of that, and I'll touch on just like the last word right there in terms of like the submission. Like it's conditional of being submissive. You're only submissive to like the guy that you find attractive to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that it's not, oh, I need to be submissive. No, you just are. If you find that guy you're not. It's not.
Guys that give you the safe space.
Exactly, and usually those guys are like provide some form of value to you, right? And you were talking about unconditional love and like the whole like being like exclusive stuff like that. The reason why it doesn't work it doesn't work both ways. This is not a two-way street, because in reality it's not a two-way street, because you're not capable of giving unconditional love to your loved one. Because here's the thing, we'll take one of your examples, like you said you're married, Adriana?
That's right.
Okay, you're married, right? What does he do? What's his job? What does he look like? Can you like paint us a picture, and then I'll be able to explain my point to you? No, I'm saying this in a good way. That's good.
We're gonna break down the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
I'll paint you a picture of him physically, or
TLDR, just real quick, like 3 sentences about him. You know?
He's tall, handsome, with a head of hair. He works in boats.
Yeah.
And he's very intelligent and fun.
Absolutely. And here's those things. Those are your conditions. If he didn't have several of those, if he was not intelligent, wasn't charismatic, and if he wasn't like that, or helping your relationship, or whatnot, you would not find him attractive. He would not be your husband, right? Those are conditional factors to your relationship. And because we do not have unconditional love, right? And it's not possible. That's why every man's like fantasy and dream is to have options with multiple girls, whether that be having girlfriend this country, girlfriend here in my neighborhood, or whatnot. They just don't say it, because like our words is what like is part of like the courting process. But for you as like a woman, right? Like, because you have options, how we show our love to you is doing the providing and protecting in the traditional roles. How you show because you do not do that, because women don't do that in terms of like the providing and protecting, you show it in different ways, right? Our men and women are not equal, but we are an equal of importance. That's the differentiation. The other part of how you show your love to us is that loyalty, is that nurturing, mannerisms to our relationship. We don't do that. You want us to have the ability to be dangerous and to hurt you. Do you think we have the ability to be nurturing to you? You know what I mean? So we complement each other in those ways, and the more we lean into those roles, the more we're going to have a long-lasting relationship.
That's called polarity.
Complement. He said the right word, complementary. We complement each other. We are not. That's why we are not equal. But equal doesn't mean that if at some point I have to provide, I will do it if I have to. But it's fucking exhausting. And at some point you can sometimes be nurtured too. But we complement each other. It's not your role is not to be fully nurturing, and my role is not to be fully provider. We complement each other. That's the right word.
Yeah. And to talk about Joe's like comment about like we're not married. Me personally, I've had many opportunities to get married. I choose not to because of my belief of like it is just not a winning game for men at all in that world, especially when you start to like go into the upper echelons of trying to increase your value. Like, being married is like in modern times is almost like a prison sentence. That's why I am not married. I choose not to be.
You like the gates, Andrea. You like the gates on your guy. Pfft.
You put the golden handcuffs on.
The piece of paper. I mean, if he doesn't believe in the loyalty, the piece of paper, it makes sense that he would not
believe in marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense, because that would establish that he has to pick one out of all of the, because in the United States, even in Colombia, marrying more than one person is illegal. So, yeah. And so with that, if he does get married, he immediately decreases his value by 50%. 50%.
Yeah, but because women, we like stability, and we think marriage is stability.
It is stability.
I value stability.
Absolutely, marriage is stability for a woman. But it also means that the man has given up all of his other options.
Wait a second. You said that a man getting married, he loses his value.
I'm talking about financials, right? So as soon as you get married, unless you get a prenup, you immediately 50% of what you own goes to the wife, and 50% of what you acquire. Obviously, we're talking about tangible things. We're not talking about your value in terms of intelligence, of what you can acquire, because you take that with you. But in terms of financial, which is the main security that you're providing to a woman, that you trade with her for her loyalty, it's financial.
I think that depends, because there's levels and exceptions to everything, because I think like Jeff Bezos, he his wife helped
Those
him.
50%, yeah.
I know, but here's the difference. She helped him build the empire. Like she was with him since he was broke. But there's a difference when you meet a man and he's already valuable, and then you're just bringing him like emotional support. Like there, I think that's a very different thing.
Even if she didn't help him with anything, she would have gotten 50%.
Not if you got a proper prenup before.
Yes,
most prenups are actually thrown out. So that's why like modern marriage is just like is like in a slum at the moment until it's like the system is absolutely fixed. I mean, I think it's the reason why I'm not really I really don't like it in the United States, and I'm only speaking for the United States because I do not know the other rules and regulations in other countries. But in terms of the United States, I think the institution of marriage is absolutely corrupted, and that I do not believe that one party should be like incentivized to break that like the love or marriage contract because of like a financial or like incentive gain, right? So until it's fixed, like I'm just not gonna be a part of that at all. Especially when the other party is like is incentivized to be like to break up the marriage. There's a reason why like 60 or what is it? It's over 50% at this point of like marriages like have like gone downhill since like 1960 whatever. And my conspiracy theorist behind that is actually that the invention at the same time in the 1960s of like contraceptive and like birth control. So like I think that has like a huge reason to deal with it, but it's always been just going up ever since like social media and the invention of Facebook on the telephone has absolutely corrupted the idea and the institution of marriage, in my opinion. And that's why I'll never be a part of it until it's fixed.
Okay. Well, let's get
let's get. In terms of it goes both ways. So there are women who are the one who bring the high value, and they find men because if you look at it from a perspective of femininity, feminine energy, and masculine energy, the safe space is created. We all have both feminine and masculine energy. And safe space and spiritual love, in my mind, is created when you're able to balance the two, and both of them live within you in balance. But there are women who are the one who bring the money to the table, who are the one who bring the value to the table. And so those women should go look for another woman because apparently the men had, according to you, would have nothing to bring to the table.
Wait, was that directed to me or Joe?
To you, because based on what you were saying, the man brings this thing, but there are very high value women out there.
Well, like, to correct you, like, I never said that women didn't bring anything to the table or brought any types of value.
I'm talking about financial, not necessarily, because I understand what you're saying, and I don't want the conversation to be deviated in that sense. We're in this instance, we're strictly talking about financial.
Okay, for financial, absolutely. If I'm not taking care of the woman that I love financially, then it's like that's like part of the love language. There's not. I don't think that the generalization of women, even around the world, would even that would. I mean, I'm sorry. I do believe the generalization of the women from around the world would even agree with me. There's no such thing as like the first date where you go 50-50 with him. That you expect like in a traditional relationship. You know, of course, there's like modern relationships where you go 50-50, but when you do like the modern relationship stuff, it becomes like a very, very unambiguous, like, or like, I'm sorry, a very ambiguous mess to me, to be honest.
I would agree with you that there are roles in the relationship. I will agree with you on that.
Well, how do you, if you, let's say your man takes you out to dinner and you have to pay for him, wouldn't that make you like less attracted to him? You kind of like have a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So like
that would make Xuyen less attractive. It would not make me less attractive, and then I'll explain why. It really has to do with more than just that one dinner. I mean, it's a very small example. Like, do I want to treat my men to dinner that one day and I pay for the dinner? I don't have a problem with that.
When do you want to do that?
If it's my husband, yes, we will go 50-50, whatever we need, right? But if I'm dating and starting, no, man, you pay for everything. No, you don't want to get a charge.
Exactly. In the laws of dating, right? Like, if I invite you out to like a date, I pay for everything. I invited you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm agree there. Yeah.
Okay, so then if I ask you the question,
I will pay.
Okay, that's fine. But when do you want to do that?
When do I want to do that? When my man has treated me like a queen, then I will treat him like a.
Okay.
Here's the thing: I am not of the belief, because you're speaking to a certain type of woman, the woman that wants to be taken care of financially, and I want from a man different things. I just don't want his money. Like money, I can make my own money. I can make
But
my own money.
Andriana, you're
bring to the table way more than just money.
Andriana, you're the exception, not the rule. That's he's.
I am the exception of the rule. You're
Yeah,
right.
he's not speaking to what I mean. Like he's speaking in generalities based on percentages, which
But
is
I
like the
think that
majority.
in this day and age, and especially here in the United States, I am no longer the exception. There is a lot more women who don't want to be put in a position. The Leon may be able to push this woman where they have to accept that if I'm going to be with you, because I don't. In my mind, and I can be wrong, but in my mind, the only time that a woman would accept those terms, I get to give you loyalty, and you don't get to be loyal to me. The only time, and is if she's at disadvantage. If she is not able to find someone who will give her the benefit plus the loyalty, that is the only time that she would choose that. Because if you could have them both, why would you choose just having one of them?
Because it's different. Like and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The difference is like when a woman cheats on a man, she's doing it emotionally, and when a man cheats on a woman, it's just physical for us. We love our woman. If we choose you,
That's
then
why the woman that you choose, that's why me as a woman, have to become that all the time. So in that moment, I will be the end.
I don't know that I agree. What do you mean by
And
that?
the thing is that if you are submissive to him, because he knows he gonna get there, you know.
Yes, but
The thing with men is the men like to
the
hunt.
maturity to choose you, and if he right off the bat you make the decision, like a woman needs to admire a man, which is what Leon is describing, in order to find him attractive, and that is true. That is true. A woman needs to admire a man in order to be attracted to him, and a man needs to feel admired by the woman. But if it is men, it's getting admired by a whole bunch of different women, that will make the woman more attracted to him, but not the man more attracted to her. So she's in a disadvantaged position.
So the game will be, you become attractive, you get out, you are the man of him, but they say Leo, you get out and you become the attractive queen. All the men we want and chase.
yeah,
And he, because Leon is very competitive, right?
yeah.
And he will see, oh man.
Hey, hold on, guys. Let's hear from.
I'm gonna keep her.
Hold on, guys. Let's hear from Monica real quick, and then we'll start wrapping up. Monica, what's up? What you got? You got something to say?
I hear a lot. Hi guys. Hi everyone. I hear a lot of words, the word submissive, and I'm really confused because why do we even use the word submissive? Why do we consider that we have to be submissive?
Submissive doesn't have to be a bad thing. I know how it's seen and it has a negative connotation, but it's about letting someone love you and loving them back in a safe space.
So it's not.
And that's what it's a woman submit to a man and the man submit to the woman.
So it's not safe to say I surrender in a nice, sweet way instead of being
surrender. Yeah, surrender could be better word
because to be submissive. He didn't born that guy to be submissive.
I love that, Monica. Surrender in a sweet
If I
way.
have the money, I am glad to pay. I don't mind, but please, I can't be submissive. But anyway, no. Surrender probably. Surrender to a man who deserve everything that you got.
Yeah.
Give your best.
I love that.
Monica, I want to just make it clear in the room. I never used the requirements of submissiveness and the ideas of like the painting of the picture of men. I do believe that obviously because there's two different words. I use compliance. A lot of submissiveness is a kind of thrown in the universe of just you being a buzzword. Submissiveness is like the absolute like submission of your autonomy of, and that's probably why like most people or most women are kind of like adverse or from it, right? But like they're completely different in terms of the motivation, context, and like the agency of it, and that's why I don't use it, because it's just not attractive to women, and the thing that I'm trying to do is be attractive to women, right? So like compliance is like involves more of like an active choice than like submission is like is an
giving
automatic
your power
coerce.
away, that's submissive, giving your power away.
Yeah, it's absolutely automatic coerced, right? And compliance is like you're voluntarily doing it. That's truly like the difference in that, and that's why in the dating game, it's that buzzword has been like thrown around forever, but people don't really know the differentiation between what they really
I think it's
what they really want, right?
I think it's safe to say that we are all strong personality here. We are all strong people here, men and women. I mean, in this Zoom, but there are a lot of people, a lot of women, men also, that they like to be submissive in a way, not sexually necessarily, although, but also to someone else to take complete control. They are, but not in our Zoom, I think.
Yeah, and by the way, this perspective here, Monica's from Romania, so that's a totally different perspective in the East and in the West, and I really appreciate.
Romania?
She's in Iași.
Oh, say it again. Cut out.
Iași. She's in Iași.
Yeah, I lived in
Dubai.
Bucharest for
Right
like a
now,
year.
I'm in Dubai, so nobody's submissive here. Actually, I'm in Dubai, so I mean things are different with the culture, and every place is different. So, yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a great debate today. This is lovely. It's great content. I love it. We have perspective from two married women, very very married women who are in committed relationships. Like, we're here. Leon, single guy, crushing it out there, and Monica, single woman in Dubai. And I mean, let's close this down with some. What did we learn? Like, let's stop. Like, the debate is over. I think we can always have different perspectives, but what did we learn from each other? I mean, I think that's the key thing that we that's the best thing we can do always. We leave a conversation better than we came in. So what did we actually learn from each other? Go ahead, Monica.
Yeah, I come last, so I should go first. So the other day, Salma Hayek, I think it's her name, and she's really one of the best. Somebody asked her if somebody asked her what's the key, if the key to a happy marriage is a great sex, and then I just love what she said, and she said exactly this. Great sex is not the key to a happy marriage. Generosity in a marriage leads to great sex, and that keeps a happy marriage happy. Generosity leads to a great sex, and then generosity in mean and sentiment and feeling and caring, and obviously if money can help also.
Yeah, generosity and value, right?
Yeah, exactly. So many people think, and I know I'm a divorce, so I'm not in a relationship, in a marriage right now. But many think, and now Andriana and Xuyen can vouch, or I don't know. But I guess many people think that what keeps a marriage strong is great sex, and it's not. It seems.
Mm.
Well, I think one of the things that we learn from one another is the supply and demand, right? And we go to where the supply is, and we bring. We bring our supply to where the demand is. And so I'm sure. I want to say I'm sure that you have to know what you value is, and know what you accept from others, and you do not change your cover fee because other people are not able to pay it. And so I think that as a woman, you need to know what you value it in order to know who you pick as a partner.
What's the question? I was tuning out.
What did you come out with? From the conversation, like what did you learn from Leon, from Andriana, from Monica, from me?
I agree with both of you. We have different point of view, but at the end, it's just to accept each other and care each other and accept each other. And finding what our true value is. Yes, I know submission will is tough, right? Like we don't like to hear submission, but I will submit if he provide.
Or you can do like what Monica says, which is like a sweet surrender.
Sweet surrender. That's my superpower, and I'm gonna get what I want.
Yeah, sounds so great. What about you, Leon? Last words. What did you come out with out of this conversation?
After many years of being in the dating game, from this conversation, it so reinforces the rules of attraction still hold the same.
Bet. Okay, from my perspective, I learned what Leon was saying. I related to a lot of what he was saying. Andriana and Xuyen, I got the perspective from marriage, which I don't have, and from Monica, sweet surrender. That's the best thing. I think that is a great phrase to end here, because if we just surrender to the process, I think we can make anything happen. So thank you everybody for being a part of this experience. Thank you, Leon, for being a guest. Andriana, Xuyen, Monica.